Hello and welcome. This is Michael Beach, and you are dialed into the What Are You Doing podcast. This is the show for thought leaders who are investing in the next generation of leadership for their organization. This is also the show for emerging leaders who want to become that next generation of great leaders. Together, we can develop leaders who will in turn develop more leaders and make a difference in our economy and in this world. All of us at Michael Beach Coaching and Consulting are excited to be able to bring you another podcast every week. We consider ourselves to be very fortunate indeed to be engaged in the business of contributing to the success of forward-thinking, fast-growth companies. We are grateful that we are able to help them to develop and cultivate great leaders at all levels of their companies. We're absolutely thrilled that our work often leads to consistent, predictable results that end up making a difference for all of the families that work for our clients. I'm especially excited today to have the opportunity to introduce you to today's special guest, my friend and colleague, Linda Drake, an extraordinary leader in her own right and an executive development coach and business advisor at Michael Beach Coaching and Consulting. Linda is a terrific, seasoned leadership coach, and she's a business consultant for C-level, senior leadership teams, and all kinds of emerging leaders. Linda was the founder and CEO of a global information services company, and for 25 years led the company to providing international business process services for a host of famous Fortune 1000 corporations. I could tell you about Linda's accomplishments and her many, many coaching certifications for days, but in the interest of getting her on the show today, please join me in welcoming Linda Drake to the What Are You Doing podcast. Linda, welcome. It's great to have you with us today. Linda, I would love for our listeners to hear the story about how you came to become interested in coaching. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I've always been the kind of person that wants to give back. So whether it was in corporate life, involved in the community, or in my entrepreneurial life, very involved with the community and nonprofits and finding ways to assist a wide variety of people. So after I sold my business, I wasn't ready, and I am not ready to retire. I love the idea of being able to give back to such interested, high-quality leaders who are eager to build their skills, and to watch them elevate and excel in their jobs is testimony enough to me that I want to continue this executive coaching journey.
That's terrific. You know, there are lots of different kinds of coaches. There are life coaches, and there are athletic coaches, and there are music coaches and marriage coaches. What kind of coaching do you specialize in?
I specialize in executive coaching for senior level and mid-level managers. This is where the majority of the work is done inside of corporation. And the demands for growth, the demands for taking on more, the demands for expanding are incredible. And to be able to help, for example, my client on a call today, to realize that he's doing everything, doing it well, but not taking time for himself and depleting his own physical body and his energy was kind of like a wide awakening for him. And we have to remember that if we're executives, we have jobs to do, and we're doing them probably very well. But we are still human beings. So to be able to point out areas that people aren't thinking about or need to crystallize their thinking about it has really been a wonderful opportunity for me to make an impact on their growth.
That's fantastic. Linda, how long have you been involved as an executive coach? How long have you been doing that?
I was certified in 2013.
Okay.
And since then, I have progressed with some credentialing, both with ICF and other bodies. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was on the board of the International Coaching Association for Southern Arizona, and I became its president. I learned a great deal about what we really need to do to ascend in our coaching skills, and I love the opportunities that the International Coaching Federation, with my membership, allows me to continue to expand my skills through online learning and webinars.
That's wonderful. I'm getting the real clear sense that you spend a lot of your time and your energy giving back. I know you're very involved in the United Way and in a number of women's organizations, and I have to be honest with you, I don't know where you find the time for all of your interests. You're pretty extraordinary. Now, you've been involved with my company for several years. We kind of decided to align ourselves, and I got you involved in coaching several of my clients. How did that come to pass? How did you get connected with Michael Beach Coaching and Consulting?
You and I got connected through the PDCA, the Professional Coaching Association Alliance, and we got to know each other just kind of casually. And then you came to Tucson, and I remember we picked you up. My husband and I picked you up at the airport, right? You picked up at the airport?
I think actually the first time I hooked a ride from Phoenix at a PBCA event down to Tucson because I was traveling there. And you got me as far as Tucson, and then your husband took over and took me where I was going.
Right, exactly. So you got to know us a little bit then. And then you and I had lunch once you bought a home here, and the rest is history. And the quality of the leaders that you have brought to my table has been phenomenal. You have the ability to touch fast-growing companies who have some of the finest minds I have ever worked with, who are very sincere and very dedicated to their own growth. We talk about accountabilities on every meeting we have, and for the most part, unless there are health or other exceptions, these leaders complete their accountabilities by the time our next connection.
I've been pretty fortunate over the years to get to know some really extraordinary people, yourself included, and a lot of the clients that you're referring to that you and I get to work with. I couldn't agree with you more. I just love working with people that are at the helm of fast growth companies in very challenging industries where results that are expected of you are high and getting higher every day. And it definitely makes people like you and I stay on our toes, doesn't it, Linda?
Absolutely, no question about it. And the truth is, Michael, that you and I are lifelong learners. And so it pushes us to continue to excel our own potential and share that information with the leaders who are so determined and eager to absorb any bits of information that will help them to excel.
Well, that's absolutely one of my favorite parts about being an executive development coach is that if I'm going to do my job well, and I fully intend to do my job well every day, every coaching session, every conversation, I have to keep my skills honed. I have to stay current with all of the latest events going on in government and in business and in multiple industries. And I have to maintain, the latest and greatest tools, technologies, and reading, of course, for the coaching industry and on many, many disciplines. So tell me, what is your favorite thing about being an executive development coach, Linda?
The opportunity to make a difference. The opportunity to make a difference in people's career lives. The opportunity that, should it be something they want to discuss, help them in their personal lives. The opportunity to make a lasting difference in their success. I'd also like to point out, Michael, that you and I are working in coaching and consulting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference.
Sure.
With coaching, if you're doing pure coaching, you acknowledge that the client has the answers, and you're pulling all of that from them. The benefit of Michael Beach Coaching and Consulting is that we're also consulting.
Right.
So that we can take our own wisdom, our own experience, all of our years of entrepreneurship and corporate involvement, and apply that lens to the coaching experience.
Interesting. You shared with me recently that you're very, very interested in and very focused on one particular kind of coaching that we do in the company, and that's our Emerging Leader Program. Tell the listeners why that particular program resonates so much with you and why you enjoy coaching emerging leaders so much.
Emerging leaders are open to education, to new ideas, to thought-provoking conversations. And I look back and say to myself, I was successful in many venues, but I didn't have a coach. And to be honest, as a woman, I did not have a mentor. To now be able to use the knowledge and information I have and see these young people grab those ideas, run with them, use them, apply them, to help them with their blocks. We all get blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Just to help them think through a situation and have them future focus to an outcome on whether they act on a certain decision or not. It's been amazing. They have the energy, they have the drive, they have the enthusiasm to want to help their companies grow. And they are the ones doing the work. And to see them propel themselves, to take on new tasks, to think new ideas, to enjoy their growth opportunity has been something that I shouldn't probably say to you, Michael, but you probably wouldn't have to pay me for it.
Well, we're going to keep paying you whether you want to be paid or not, Linda, because you do great work. Well, you hit on something a few minutes ago that I think I'd like to tie into the answer you just gave us about why this Emerging Leaders program resonates so much with you. You made the point a few minutes ago that at our company, we take a unique approach to coaching. We sometimes are pure coaches, and sometimes we're pure consultants. But in that Emerging Leaders program, we're somewhere around a 50-50 blend of coach and consultant, day in and day out with our emerging leaders. Because you and I are probably closer to the end of our careers than we are the beginning of our careers, if the truth is going to be told, we've got some experience. We've got some, in my case, some gray hairs, and we have some experience and some knowledge that we can impart to these young whippersnappers that are emerging leaders. And so we occasionally will step out of our role as a coach and we'll ask our client, hey, would you like me to just give you some advice? And if they say yes, we give them some advice and maybe shorten their learning curve and maybe keep them from making a, difficult or disastrous move or two. And everybody's fine. Everybody moves forward. And it's kind of nice to have the freedom to share content and experience with someone. It's really not coaching, it's training. It's, giving advice, whatever you want to call it. It's consulting. But that's what I think I like the most about our Emerging Leader program is that we're working with incredibly talented individuals who are probably nearer the beginning of their career than the end of their career. And you and I get a front row seat to the greatest show in town. And we get an opportunity to have really an outsized amount of influence with people that we have no way of knowing right now where they're going to end up, what they're going to end up in charge of. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if some of the people that you and I are coaching these days will one day become a CEO or a COO or a chief financial officer of a big, well-known household brand, Fortune 500 account or Fortune 100 account. That's pretty exciting, don't you think?
It's very exciting. Each person has such high potential, and to be able to accelerate that potential by recommending and sending book abstracts, bits of information that you and I have collected over all these many years, incidents that we've seen that maybe are happening that we've seen that happened before, and making sure they're thinking through the alternatives that they have. It's intense, but it is well worth it. And I'm very pleased that each person I work with has expressed appreciation for the time that we spend together. And I have never had someone miss an appointment. If they have to change it, we change it. I have not had anyone miss a single appointment.
That's terrific. I suspect that that's because you are really a tremendous coach. Getting back to this Emerging Leader program, I know that part of what you do as a Emerging Leader coach is you will occasionally put on your teacher hat or your trainer hat, and you will educate your clients many at a time in a workshop scenario. Thinking back on all the workshops that you've been involved with over the last several years, do you have a favorite topic that you like to cover in workshops?
That's an excellent question. I love being able to educate people about executive presence.
Okay.
I think it's important for our young people to understand what the impact of executive presence is and how they can better position themselves as a leader through how they present themselves in person or on a podcast, how they are conveying to the world who they are. And the important points about executive presence, being able to keep your cool, being able to come up with viable, terrific answers to questions, being able to stay calm under fire. So that's a favorite one of mine. Also, emotional intelligence is a favorite one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to generalize young people because we've had emerging leaders, Michael, anywhere from the 30s to 64, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It depends on their role in the company and how fast growth the company is going.
Mm-hmm.
So emotional intelligence is a subject that's not generally addressed with people. They don't understand where they are emotionally, and they get caught up in themselves. By Michael Beach Coaching and Consulting providing the emotional intelligence assessment and being able to show people where they are and working consistently with these emerging leaders to help them grow in their emotional intelligence, I think has been key to the success of the companies they work with.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. I agree with you to a very, very high degree. When I think about the transformative changes that we're able to help people to enjoy, they tend to gravitate around a half dozen to a dozen of the things that we talk about. Because, boy, we talk about all kinds of topics with our emerging leader clients, don't we? I think we pride ourselves on approaching them from about 20 different angles. And the one that seems to have the greatest amount of impact and leads to them having more gravitas, one of your executive presence terms that has stuck with me over the years, is when we can take someone whose emotional intelligence was underdeveloped and we can get them up into the 90th or the 95th percentile. Everyone around them knows that something is different. And they might not be able to put their finger on it, but they know something is different. And I just love the look on the faces of my clients when they take that emotional intelligence assessment for the second time. And it's been maybe 6 or 12 months since they started working on it, and their score's gone up by 20 or 24 percentage points. The pride on their faces, oh my gosh, I should have my iPhone ready to capture that look because it's a wonderful look. Well, Linda, I'd like to ask you one more question. I've learned over the years of working with you that you are a very committed proponent of clients being careful about selecting their mindset. Can you tell folks that are dialed in today a little bit about mindsets and why they might want to spend some time thinking about their particular mindset?
I mentioned earlier that, as we evolve as human beings, we learn, we grow, we adapt. But we forget how we are thinking about ourselves or about the things around us because we get so busy in our own heads. And when negative things happen, and they're going to, it's just this life.
Right.
When negative things happen, and they're going to, and you don't have a positive mindset, and you're not an optimist, then you're going to be much harder on yourself, which means you're going to be much harder on your body as well. It's going to affect your mind and your spirit and your body in a very significant way. Maintaining a positive and open mindset is the absolute key to executive functioning these days. And being able to be open to ideas and explore possibilities is something a lot of people still need to learn. You know, they think they're doing this job, X job, but they're really not. They're working for the company. They have to be looking up and managing up to make sure that they're understanding what their next step should be, what they should be learning, and they have to be able to be adaptable and work through crises.
That's a good word, Linda. You know, as you were talking there, I was thinking about a couple of authors that I know you're familiar with their work. And I just want to make sure today that our listeners are familiar with the outstanding work of these two amazing women. The first person I was thinking about is Carol Dweck. Carol is a fantastic author and a fantastic scientist who's done studies on human attitudes and what happens when you're careful about choosing your mindset. She wrote a book called Mindset, and she's got an absolutely fantastic TED Talk that she did a number of years ago. And I know you and I both recommend that TED Talk to a lot of our clients. So those of you who are listening today, check out Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K. Check out her book, Mindset. It's a game changer. And look her up in YouTube in the TED Talks section. She talks about the power of the human mind when you change your mindset. And it's a really powerful and persuasive TED Talk. There's probably 2 or 3 TED Talks out there by now by the other woman I'm thinking about. And she's from Houston, Texas. Her name's Brené Brown. And I think at one point she was a Stanford University professor, and she was a professor, if I'm not mistaken, at the University of Houston as well for a while. She's written 3 best-selling books, if not 4. And she talks about vulnerability in my favorite TED Talk of all time. The combination of people being willing to be vulnerable and just be who they are, and then having that open, positive mindset that you talked about. I think that all 3 of those things are prerequisites for anybody who wants to become a great leader. So if you're listening to us today and you want something to go study up on, you can look up Brené Brown. B-R-E-N-E is her first name. Brown, B-R-O-W-N. And Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K. Well, Linda, I lied. I told you that I had asked you my last question. I want to ask one more. I've gotten in the habit lately, because I'm a big fan of music, of asking all of my guests on the show to tell me if they've got a favorite musician or a favorite band, a favorite singer. Who do you like to listen to when you're listening to music?
Andrea Bocelli.
Ah, wonderful. Very, very good stuff, right? The classics. A little bit
Classics,
of opera.
His opera, I love the songs in Italian, and I'm half Italian. My dad was Italian.
Ah, nice.
And every time I listen to Andrea, I say to myself, I wish my dad had had the opportunity to hear me.
Yeah, what a great thought. Like you, I find that when I'm listening to fantastic music, it's very uplifting for my spirit, for my soul. And I'm probably never quite as happy as I am when I'm sitting somewhere with thousands of other people listening to someone really talented either play their instrument or play their instruments together as a band. Just live music performances, about as close to godliness as I think we humans can get.
I've seen Andrea in person twice.
Good for you. That must have been a thrill. Wonderful. Well, Linda, thank you so much for joining today. Can't wait to talk to you again in a future episode somewhere down the line. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Michael. Talk soon.
Well, that's our episode for today, leaders. We want to thank Linda Drake for sharing her insights and her stories with our tribe of very passionate leaders. Linda, we really appreciate your contribution to our program and to the ongoing success of everybody in our audience. We hope you'll come back and visit us again for another episode soon. Our next episode will be released in a week or 2. And once again, We've searched the world over to bring you another dynamic leader who will share their insights with you. Our next episode will feature Scott Winslow, the founder and CEO of Winslow Technology Group in Boston, Massachusetts, a fast-growing technology company. Scott has been investing in his leadership team consistently over the years, and he's got some great insights on customer experience and sales performance that'll be of special interest to all of you. Thank you again, listeners, for joining us today, and please reach out to us at info@michaelbeachcoach.com if you have a suggestion for a future episode guest, or if possibly, perhaps, you would want to become a featured guest yourself. We'll look forward to spending our next episode together with you. Until then, remember, invest in yourself and continue to invest in your team. If you're interested, we've got a bunch of great videos on leadership on our YouTube channel at Michael Beach Coaching and Consulting. And we've also got lots and lots of really thoughtful blog articles about leadership development on our website at www.michaelbeachcoach.com. In the meantime, continue to be at your best and believe the best about everyone around you. It'll lead to terrific results. See you next time.